welcome to tonight's episode of Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel, and as always, I have a very special guest for you, social justice leader and educator Lakeasha Williams. She'll be with us for the next 30 minutes, so stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV allows you to discuss contemporary topics affecting the Caribbean people on both a national and local level. The show features informed guests who offer insight, debate, and evaluate various issues. Beyond Focus TV builds on the station's mission to provide useful information to the Caribbean people in New York and abroad. Beyond Focus TV, where our viewing audience can get educated, informed, and empowered. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. And like I said, I have a very special guest for you, Lakeisha Williams. Welcome to the program.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're great to have you because we just love people in the community who are doing amazing things. And we found you. So definitely want to introduce you to our audience. But before we get started, everyone who's in the hot seat, this is always the question. My hot seat question is, who is? So who is Lakeisha Williams?
Wow.
Yeah, you see why it's the hot seat question.
It is the hot seat because how can you sum that up, right? Who is Lakeisha Williams? Lakeisha Williams is a Brooklyn girl, who hails from Allendale, South Carolina, small town in South Carolina. So I have to shout out, my hometown. But I'm a Brooklyn girl. I've always been about fairness and just doing what's right. And so I am grateful and appreciative that I have an opportunity to live that out every day. So when I think about work, and, sometimes folks are like, oh, my God, like, what else is she doing? Mm-hmm. It's not work to me. Like, this is just a way of life for me.
Absolutely. And I totally get that. And when you truly live something, it doesn't feel like work. Mm-hmm. You're living the movement, which is phenomenal. I kind of just want to introduce the audience to the social justice piece because you talked about fairness. And there's so much going on right now, so much injustice. Mm-hmm. I kind of think from 2020, things really, we always knew injustice was happening.
Yes.
There was a Band-Aid.
Right.
And the Band-Aid got ripped off.
Yes.
And there was a lot of open wounds that started with the Black Lives Movement, and a lot of things just trickling over, and even now currently with the state of affairs of what's happening. Mm-hmm. So kind of where do you fit into all this?
So where I fit in, and I try to always be very mindful of not to feel overwhelmed, and I think sometimes that's what happens with folks. So what I like to focus on is, are you a part of the problem or are you a part of the solution? And as long as you're a part of the solution, then you're on the right track, then you're doing, you're doing your best, what you're capable of doing. And as long as you stay within your circle of influence and you positively impact others who are around you, then you are doing your part.
So over the years, because, being in Brooklyn, we've seen so many different things just change and different protests. And there's always a different movement and there's always a different cause. And I always think Brooklyn has been that, like the epicenter of, you wanted to see a protest every weekend, we had a protest going on every weekend. And rightfully so. Not knocking it in any which way or form. I think it's good to have a voice and people feel it's a safe space to come out here and do that. But what are some of the causes over the years that you have felt near and dear to your heart that you wanted to support?
Well, definitely growing up in East New York, Brownsville, Bedford-Stuyvesant, the poor sections of Brooklyn, right? So that shaped me, that shaped who I was, as a young child. In elementary school, we lived next door to a crack house, right? So how do you live through those experiences and not be impacted by it, right? So those experiences, coupled with the fact that I grew up with love in my home, right? I was in a great elementary school where I had a lot of exposure and experiences to different things. And my parents, coming from the South, they didn't necessarily know like what we could do, but they gave us hope. And they definitely knew that they wanted us to have a different life. And so that's what has catapulted me into being the social justice leader that I am today. So the things that are near and dear to me is making sure that children have experiences and exposure. Because I love Michelle Obama. Shout out Michelle Obama. but I said it first, right? The power of hope. And that's what children need. So when we
Absolutely.
look at the statistics, all of the statistics in terms of crime and poverty and quote unquote failing schools, when we look at all of those things, right, it goes back to are we an equitable society? And equity to me is all about action. It's not about talk. So if we're talking, then we're not doing equity. So equity to me is making sure that every child and family in my school community has access to the things that they need. Because we know the demographics of the communities that we serve, right? Whether you be in school or whatever it is you may be doing. But we know the demographics of our neighborhoods. So then it behooves us to make sure that we are taking care of our people. I oftentimes refer to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Before you could get to the top of that pyramid of self-actualization, you have to take care of the basic needs, right? So if we're not, as a society, if we're not addressing the basic needs, then how can our children be the very best that they can be? So those are things that are near and dear to me, making sure that I'm serving my children, making sure that I'm serving my families, making sure that I'm serving the community.
That's amazing. And so much when you talk about children and the education, again, with the pandemic, when you realize how many children were using their mom's hotspot to log on to Google, the Google Classroom. It was, the digital divide was so real because a lot of parents can't afford to pay for a full out internet service.
Right.
Monthly.
And if you were in transitional housing, right, then there was no access to Wi-Fi, right?
And I've had different guests come in who work for the DOE, and they were like, "This is a real problem." There are children. I literally had a guest who would drop off tablets herself to different students. Not even in her job description. Not even, but she's like, you know what? These are my students.
Absolutely.
And I personally want to make sure that
Absolutely.
you can get that. So to hear you say that, it
absolutely
it really ties it all together to know that there are people in the community who actively do care about this, and trying to make sure that the divide is
right
shortened.
Going back to doing your part, doing what you can do, and as long as you're showing up and doing what you can do, and you're a part of the solution, then that's what we need more of.
That's great. And then of course you're an author.
Yes, I'm an author.
And we're going to take a break soon, but when we come back after that break, I definitely want to go into the book because it's one of the many hats that you wear, on top of being a fashionista, because she came in here, as you can see, fully decked. So I have to say, shout outs to that, Styled by you, right?
Styled by me.
I think she's going to have to do some styling on you. We're going to hook that up. But yeah, definitely, author, you're educator, social justice. It's like, it keeps going. It keeps going.
But isn't that's what life is about, though, right? The constant evolution of who you are and self-actualization, right? It really is a lifelong process.
Does your family ever think, like, Lakeisha, relax?
People oftentimes, like I said, they do say that. When do you sleep? Right? And, I'm like, I sleep. I just don't watch a lot of TV. But I will watch this.
You're going to watch this. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. So, Lakeisha, let's talk about this book. I want to actually, shine on brown girl, okay? All this, got my brown. So for all the brown girls and brown boys, because we are inclusive.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. What is Shine on Brown Girl?
So Shine on Brown Girl is an empowering story for our black and brown girls. But it is the book that is for everyone. but I'll tell you a little backstory of how Shine on Brown Girl came to be. Again, I'm a principal, social justice leader, so I'm always doing different things with children in my school, and we talk about everything. And during the election of Biden and Harris, everyone was excited about, the results, and came across a poem on social media titled Brown Girl, Brown Girl. And went back to school, did the activity with my children, with the girls, the black and brown girls in my school, because in Flatbush, Brooklyn, I have black and brown children in my school.
Absolutely.
And they were excited, they were filled with pride, they were so happy. And I shared that video to social media, which I normally do, and it went viral. And it went viral for two reasons, right? Two main reasons. The first reason it went viral is because there were a lot of folks who were upset with me. They felt like, how dare I, try to indoctrinate children. I should be fired. They were comparing me to Hitler. And I even got death threats.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yes. I had to file a police report with the 67th precinct, near to my school, because it was that serious.
How did the school respond? Did they support you?
Yes, they did. Yes, everyone,
So you were
connected to
not
school.
reprimanded in any
No.
way for this?
No,
Okay,
everyone supported me at the school, because we know what it is. This is culturally relevant education, right? And what that simply means is you have to know the children who are in your school building. You have to affirm the children who are in your school building. Because when children walk into a school, guess what else walks with them? Their skin color, their hair, right? Their language, their culture. And if we're not inclusive of the children who are in our school buildings, and we don't know them or care to know them, then we're not being responsive to who they are, right?
So I'm curious, was it backlash from for those who felt excluded because they weren't black and brown, and they were the other parents or the other children felt secluded?
I mean, I can't really, during that time, it appeared to me as those people who were not happy with the results were upset.
Got it.
Right.
Got it.
That's what it came across as, right? But the
Makes sense.
But the flip side of that is that there were people who were so inspired and reached out to me, and they were just so, thankful and appreciative that I was doing that, and they wrote about the school and, myself at a paper in India, the Italian news station. I still keep in touch with her. They reached out to me, interviewed me, ABC 7, WPix 11. They was writing about me in local newspapers, because there was so many people who was happy to see the pride and joy, not only in our girls, but again, during that whole time period, women like myself, right? I have so many college degrees, I have a professional career, and I was excited by what? Representation. Because that's what Kamala Harris represented, right? And representation is so key and powerful. Again, going back to the concept of hope. If you don't see, you have to see it to believe it, to know that it's real, right? But when it's far removed from you, then that's when your mind subconsciously believes that it's unattainable, right? But when you have a real life example of, yes, I can do that, I can be that, it just fills you with all types of wonderful. And so what this experience taught me is that black and brown women around the world still feel invisible. And so I said, I need to do more. Because that's just the type of person that I am. I said, what else can I do to help be a part of the solution? Hence, Shine on Brown Girl was born.
Shine on Brown Girl. And this is just great. This great illustrations. It would be an easy read. In a synopsis, is there would you like to read something from it?
Sure, absolutely. Sorry, a little bit of the back of the book.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Imagine being the member of an extremely loving and supportive family, and then one day something happens that makes you question everything you believe. Shine on Brown Girl is a story about a beautiful young black girl who is taught that her skin is smooth like cocoa butter, rich like honey, and sparkles like the stars in the sky. As the story unfolds, young readers and their parents will be empowered and reminded to celebrate their skin daily, to embrace their strength, and to persevere. As Shannon Brown Girl reminds readers, Black is fearless, Black is strong, yes, Black is beautiful. And I will say this, I have already began to do a lot of read alouds around the country. I did a read aloud for school out in LA, in Las Vegas, South Carolina. And this book is a hit with all children, not just Black and brown girls, not just Black and brown children, but all children.
And what's interesting is you're getting a lot of white families who want to actually be proactive and get their children involved because they know the Black History Month that we get during February is just a drop in the bucket of what's...
Right. It's embraced. Everyone is embracing it. And what's so beautiful about the children, all children, is that they connect to the story. So what it also affirms is that our children are not the problem. It's the adults in our society that's the problem. It's the adults who push this, the racism and prejudices and biases onto children. But all children relate to the story. You have to buy the book so you know the story. But all children relate and connect with Layla, who's the main character of the story. But the content of the story is for everyone. It's not just for children, right? But the content should be discussed through the college level, even in teacher certification courses, because we must have this conversation with our children. We must have this conversation in homes. We must have this conversation in schools, because when we talk about making this world, this country and this world a better place for everyone, guess what? The movement has to be led by educators, because everyone passed through us. Right? Regardless of what you decide to do, be a, news anchor, teacher, principal, police officer, judge, everyone passed through educators. So it behooves us to lead this movement and to get it right for our children. But our children are ready.
Absolutely. With somebody like you as principal leading the way, I have no doubts in my mind. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. So, Lakeasha, a couple years ago, or rewind as far back as you can think, did being an author ever come into your mind that you would think by 2021, 2022, you would have your own published book?
Actually, it did. Because I've always loved to read and write. As a child, I've always loved reading, always loved writing. And 20 years ago, when I started my teaching career, I also started writing a story, because stories are powerful. For me, history is about telling stories, right? And stories are powerful. So I wanted to tell my story, and I started writing. But then, the career was a very demanding career. I had to go back to school to get a master's degree, et cetera, et cetera. And so the writing fell to the wayside. The real estate fell to the wayside. All of those things fell to the wayside, right? And I focused on being an educator. And so fast forward 20 years later, I went from being a paraprofessional, several different admin positions, including being a special education administrator, now principal. And I had actually started on my PhD program.
Congratulations.
Right? Thank you. But I put it on pause.
Okay.
And I put it on pause because I started writing again, and I started doing real estate again. And I said to myself, this is familiar. I was here 20 years ago, right? I started writing 20 years ago, started doing real estate 20 years ago, and I put those things to the side to focus on college and being an educator. And so now 20 years later, I said, you know what, I'm going to put this schooling,
Right.
on pause.
I mean, we'd love to see you as Dr. Lakeasha, but
and that's going to come. But for right now, I just wanted to explore writing more, and I wanted to explore, real estate more. And so that's what I'm doing. And this is actually my second book. Both books are Amazon bestsellers. So also co-authored
Congrats.
Still I Thrive, which is, a compilation of stories, perseverance stories, in conjunction with several authors, lead author P.K. Kersey. That book is also, yes.
We've had P.K. Kersey. He does his suit stuff all the time. Shout out to P.K.
Yes.
He's a friend of Beyond Focus.
Okay, good. So, that was Amazon bestseller, and I loved that experience. And so that gave me the courage to, just start doing your own thing. And I also belong to two powerful groups and educated groups, BU, Black Influencers United, and, we focus on doing all things equitable for the school system, and OSG, off school grounds. And this was the first published book under that company. And this is also, a bestseller. So to now have two books under my belt that I'm doing, different things with it, because for me, it's not just about the books, but it's the extension activities into the community to help uplift our people is what's most important to me. Working with the children, working with the families, because I do believe that if we want stronger schools, then it first starts with making sure we have stronger communities, which is going to yield stronger families and stronger schools.
Absolutely. That's amazing. How do we get in contact with you? Social media is a big thing. How do people find you online?
Yes, so my Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at principal_shine on Lakeasha.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
So principal_shine on Lakeasha.
Lakeasha.
And is there an email if any of our viewers want to get in contact with you?
They can email me at lakewill, LAKEWILL, @gmail.com.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So are you able to give us a little sneak peek of what the rest of 22 is going to be looking like? Any projects? I know you got a bag of tricks brewing there.
Well, I am looking to just continue to expand my company, Brick House Unlimited, which was actually formed during the pandemic. And it is used as a vehicle just to continue to strengthen our community. So I'm looking forward to expand my business as well as Shine on Brown Boy.
Ooh, there's going to be Shine on Brown Boy.
Shine on Brown Boy. So I'm looking forward to that, because so as I go around with the book, then I get that, where's the boy? I'm like, don't worry, because I'm boy mom. So I'm like, of course, I can't forget about the boys. So Shine on Brown Boy is also coming.
I instantly thought of hashtag Black Boy Joy. So that's great. And it's great that you have that. So you definitely have some big projects.
Yes. And I'm
up.
also, looking forward to so this is about my family as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to continue projects with my granddaughter's business, which my son and his wife are also part of, and that's Serenity's Nail Polish.
I'm sorry, granddaughter?
Yes.
Okay, this is going to be an offline conversation. You guys, I got stunned live on camera. Grandmother status, okay.
Yes.
Glamour.
Glamour. When I tell you this work is personal, it's personal.
I love it.
Because if I can do it, then guess what? So can everyone else.
Absolutely. And you're doing a fantastic job. And there's just so much that you're doing, and the work is there.
Yes.
The work is there. It speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
Any final words that from you to the viewers that you just want to have everyone take away?
Final words, I would say just make sure you continue to shine your light in your own special way, and make sure that you believe in yourself and you're positively impacting others around you. That's how we get to making sure that our communities and our world at large is a better place.
I love it. And what has been the most challenging part of all the work?
Mm-hmm.
Despite, because I know there's there must be days where you wake up, you're just like, oh my God, because we all do.
Of course.
How do you keep that positivity and keep that light going?
I definitely try to make sure that I focus on having a balanced life. And again, when you're intentional about that, then I think it helps to, it helps you be able to navigate your way through things. So last week I had a vacation and I took the vacation, and I spent time with my parents in South Carolina, and my family, my granddaughter, and I had my downtime. So, and I don't feel guilty about that, right? I don't feel guilty sometimes if I want to just go home and put my feet up and do nothing, right? I make sure I get my monthly massages, right? But whatever it is that helps you to relax, because self-care is different for all of us, right? But I would definitely say, let's not save self-care for vacation time or the weekend, but practice a form of self-care every day. So every day I try to make sure that I do some stretching, because I'm getting a little older. I try to make sure I do some stretching and meditation. And that's what helps to keep me at peace, right? But also not holding on to things that is beyond your control. So sometimes I think internally we put more things on us than has to be. Right?
That's amazing. Lakeisha Williams, thank you so much. And I would love to have you back again, get an update, get a follow-up. So we'll be looking out to have you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
And as always, if you have any questions or comments, you can send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. I'm your host, Lydia Patel. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be back again next week. Same time, same place. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us.
Beyond Focus TV show wants and needs your feedback. Did we blunder? Please let us know so we can improve. Was the show helpful to you? Drop us a note so we can share the success with our staff members. Is there something you think we could do better? We welcome new ideas and new approaches to old ideas. Do you have a great suggestion? Let us know and we'll work on it. If you would like to share your comments anonymously, please send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. If you want to get in touch with the executive producer directly, send him an email at gene@beyondfocusmedia.com. We really look forward to hearing from you.